everybody, welcome to another Monday night of Make It With Me Monday here in the studio. Thank you so much if you're joining me for the first time or the 5th time or the 62nd time, because this is number 62. I'm always glad to have you guys here on Monday nights to create together. So just a little bit of housekeeping before we get started tonight. Just a big reminder that tomorrow is the last day, or tonight I should say, is the last day to order from this catalog. The May through April is what it's listed as, but it went through May 2nd of 2022, which is today. So this is your last chance for everything that is last chance in this catalog that is on the retirement list. That's still available. You can always follow the link. I have it posted, pinned at the top of my Facebook page in a post. You can find it there. And again, this is the last day to order anything that's retiring out of this catalog. So you're going to want to double check that you have all the goodies that you wanted of what's leaving us, and make sure you get that order in before, I would say, about 11 p.m. our time tonight, just to be safe. Alrighty, and then this catalog will start going live tomorrow. If you don't have one of these in your hands yet, please give me a shout out and send me your address, and I will make sure that you get one of these ASAP. I can send you a link in the meantime to view it online. And again, this will go live tomorrow. Hey, Kathy Jo, good to see you tonight. So I'm super, super excited of some of the new stuff that's coming out, and I'll be sharing that, of course, with you in upcoming Monday night videos. So for tonight, everything I'm doing, I'm taking from the mini catalog, which still goes through the end of June, and that way I'm sure everything is still current and fresh and orderable for you guys. So, all right, I hope that you guys are ready to get started. Here is what you needed to have handy tonight. You want to have a piece of neutral cardstock as your card base. That is 4 1/4 by 11, and you're going to score that at 5 1/2. I'm going to be using our thick basic white cardstock. I asked you to get a piece of designer series paper that's 4 by 4. Mine is going to come from the Abstract Beauty designer series paper pack. And then I said to have a piece of cardstock light enough for you to stamp on that is 1 by 3. So mine's going to be Blushing Bride, and I personally am going to be using Night of Navy ink on that, so that it'll show up nicely on my Blushing Bride. And then I said come up with a focal point, a ballpark about 2.5 to 3 inches wide by that much tall. It's an approximation, so if yours is a little smaller, a little bigger, no big deal. Just something as you can use as a focal point, whether you punched out a shape and stamped on it, or if you die cut an image, or a combination of the two. I did a die cut and then did some stamping on it myself to kind of mimic what I've got going on in the background of my designer series paper. All right, so that's what that is. And speaking of that designer series paper, this particular pack already comes cut 4 inches wide by, I believe it's 6 and something. So it's already almost card front size, kind of a fun way to use it. The one side has a little bit of shimmery gold foil to it, with some really fun patterns. And then the other side has some plain colors. Again, really fun patterns. I love this rainbow striping kind of concept. So you'll be seeing a few of these tonight as I show you all my samples. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. If you haven't done your focal point piece yet, go ahead and kind of consider what you want to have there. I'm going to show you where we're headed with some of these layouts, and that might help you decide too what you're going to be doing with yours. So in addition, let's see, I'm going to show you, I'm using the Hello Beautiful stamp set. All the phrases and some of the imagery will come from this. Some of the other imagery tonight will come from Amazing Silhouettes. These are both in the mini catalog. The Hello Beautiful is bundled with a Beautiful Shapes die set. So there's some really fun hexagons and random shapes. I'm using a few of those throughout. That's where I got this particular circle from. I'm using these shapes a couple of times. So this one's really kind of a fun way to, even if you just do the dies, they're really kind of fun. I love the hexagon concepts. There's some really fun things to play with in there. And then I also have 1 or 2 of these Painted Poppies label dies that you'll be seeing throughout my samples. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do, I forgot to mount my phrase that I want to use. So I'm going to use, let's see, why don't we go ahead and make this a thank you card. So I'm going to put my thank you on there. Now you can decide where you want to put this on that 1 by 3 piece of paper. I'll show you a few of my samples here. I've got them in different positions throughout. So off to the right, maybe more centered, off to the left, and again off to the right, shortened up, And this is my original inspiration sample. So she didn't do anything different to the piece itself, where you can see, hi Mary Lynn, I did a few things where I've notched some edges, things like that. So you can kind of decide what you want to do with this 1x3 piece of paper. And I'll bring those samples back later. Don't worry if you didn't catch all of them right now. You'll see them as we go on. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do some Night of Navy ink with my thank you over here. There we go. And I am going to go ahead and do one of those little notched edges. I'm going to show you guys in case you haven't seen me do one of these before. We do have some punches that do this shape for you, in particular in certain widths. So if you don't necessarily have that punch or you don't have that width of paper, this is an easy way to do it. I find the center and I cut up a little bit, and then you go from corner to where that little notch ended up, and from the other corner there as well. And then you have a pretty decent diamond shape. I'm just going to clean that up just a little bit. Then you have a pretty clean cut as opposed to trying to cut in and over. This is usually a better way to make it. You kind of make a center mark to aim for, and it gives you a little bit more precision cut every time you want to use that. All right, so there is your phrase, and there's my focal point. All right, assembly should be super quick. You're just going to go ahead with your card base and give that a nice crease. We're going to put some adhesive on our square. It's a 4x4, so directionality shouldn't matter too much. Whatever you want it to be going, you know, this way. I picked one that specifically was not very diagonally oriented, or directionally oriented, I should say. Now I'm aiming for having an even border across the top and down the side. So it's actually going to line up on the left edge, but then you have an even border this way and this way. So hopefully that is easy to see there. Part of the reason I like to have the neutral card base is going to pop off with some of those colors really nicely with some of those bolder choices. So from this particular designer series paper, I pulled out the Bumblebee, the Blushing Bride color, and the Jade into my focal point, and I pulled out the Night of Navy into my banner. I'm going to go ahead and mount that. That was where I was experimenting with some other shapes, just to see what I liked. I ended up going with the flowers instead of something kind of random like that. All right, I am going to put a few dimensionals on this. And here again, you can kind of decide where you want to go with your focal points and with your banner. So you can do the banner down, focal point down. You can have them be higher. You can do a combination thereof. You can have them near each other, opposite this way. All kinds of different choices you can do. On one of mine, I believe I even have it coming out from the side of the larger shape. So really, you can just decide what you want to do. Before we put our banner down, I'm going to go ahead and go back to that ribbon that we offered, that I said to have handy, up to about maybe like a ½ inch or so. Depends on what you want to do with it. I've got this tiny 1/4 inch wide ribbon. It's a cotton ribbon that comes in a combination pack with a Misty Moonlight, and that's still in the spring, or the spring mini catalog. So it'll be done. You can still get this through the end of June. And you can decide what you'd like to do with this. If you wanted to do a background of your banner, you could have your ribbon coming out from behind. If you want to tie it around and make a bow or a knot that way, you can. If you had your phrase over a little further, you could put it in the front of the phrase, obviously, too. You could have this attaching to your focal point piece. You can kind of play with that a little bit and see where you'd like it to go. So I think what I'm going to settle on doing is I'm going to attach this flat down here, hanging off just a little bit. I'm going to put my focal point up here a little bit, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tie a little knot, or not a knot, I should say, a bow in my ribbon. Oops, let me start that again. There we go. And pull. There we go. That's always the boring part. Tying bows and knots. Okay, so there I've got my ribbon. I'm going to go ahead and grab a glue dot, and I'm going to join the two parts together with this bow by making that part of my focal piece, coming off the bottom like so. Okay, so my bow kind of brings the two parts together. So again, like I said, you can do all kinds of different things with these pieces. I'm going to go ahead and just show you everything right away. Here's the stepped up version of that. I flipped it a little bit. I added some gold foil to pin out the gold foil of the paper. So there's a little strip on each piece up here, plus a background shape. I've showed you those hexagon shapes before. It's actually this die cuts two of them at the same time. So that's basically those two shapes, but then just spread apart a little bit in the back. So I just cut those hexagons out of there. I added, instead of going with something I could stamp on lightly, I decided to go ahead and do some gold embossing in order to pick up some more of that gold. So it's navy cardstock, again, a little layer of navy here, and I added the gold embossing to have the sentiment pop out a little bit. Okay, then on this one, so again, you see I've got my banner coming away from my shape. My shape is a little lower and maybe just a little bit larger too, but I like the way that this image fills in and kind of coordinates with the concept of the jade with the colored dots throughout. So the stamp is kind of meant to be a negative image. So when you're stamping, you're putting down the color, and then whatever piece of paper you're stamping onto is what's going to show behind. So that's why you see ivory leaves with the green background. I added some of those hexagons that are in this collection as well. You get an assortment of jade, blushing bride, and black in a couple different sizes. So these are the black ones that I added into there. Again, the same thank you phrase. And I took my gingham checked ribbon and I colored it with my jade blend. So it's got a little bit of that color going in there. Still sticking then with that stamp set. I took another piece from there. I took the butterfly. And again, this is the Amazing Silhouettes. I took the butterfly from there. I have some white seam binding that I went over with my balmy blue blend. So it's lightened, or I've darkened that up a little bit. The This Calls for a Celebration is also still from that Hello Beautiful. And this time I did the triangular notching from both ends to make it like more of a true banner. This one here, I grabbed my daisy punch. I added just a little bit of that blushing bride ribbon again as a knot to kind of focus off from the middle there. I've got, and my neutral is actually crumb cake in this case. Some of those darker, or those lighter browns and grays make a really nice neutral palette as well. And again, I've got my little hexagonal shapes there. And then this is where I kind of got the idea from. This was created by fellow demonstrator Julie Tonsiger. I got it in a swap a while back. So you can see the 4x4 square of DSP, some kind of focal image. Of course, hers grabs the branch and goes all the way across as well, really tying in the whole piece together. And then she used a stapler actually to attach just a little flag of ribbon. So that's another idea. If you don't want to do knots or bows or something like that, that's a really quick and easy way to do it as well. Just grab your regular old stapler and put that into place. I do sometimes like to put it down first with a glue dot so it stays, and then go in with my stapler so that it doesn't move on me when I'm trying to do that. So that's just a little quick tip there. Alrighty, so again, this layout goes super quick and simple, and it has a lot of options of you checking out where you're putting your focal point. Do you want it in a different place? Do you, then you could obviously still turn the direction of this card if you wanted to, and then just have your banners go across another way. So that's always an option as well. Yeah, so I think that is going to be it for tonight. I know that was really quick. But this kind of a layout and very simple small pieces really lends to making really quick cards. So a reminder that Sunday is Mother's Day. So if you have a special mom, you are the mom or the grandma or whatever, or you have your best friends and your aunts and your godmothers and all those wonderful ladies in your life who need to be recognized on Sunday, this would be a great way to make a quick little stack, and you can still pop them in the mail and get them there before the big day. All right, everybody, thank you for joining me tonight for episode number 62, and I will see you all again next Monday night. Have a great week. Bye now.